Hi friends, thank you so much for being here. So the video I'm going to do today is when things get too busy, how do I pull it out? And what I mean by that is I'm really loving this background here. There's a lot of interesting things going on and I really love a lot of parts of it. So I'm going to pull out my viewfinder here and there's just a lot that I love about it, but in another sense, there's almost too much I like about it. Like it's very, very busy. And so I've got to kind of pull it all together in a way where there's some balance and it's not so busy everywhere. Like not every single part of this background is interesting and got something going on. I've got to kind of calm it down a little bit, if that makes sense. So the very first thing I am going to do is I am going to try to place, and I think I'm going to put 3 figures on here, or maybe 2 figures, but I'm going to try to place my figures. And because it's so busy, I don't know. I'm having a hard time figuring out where I would put my figures. Nothing's really jumping out at me right away. So I am thinking maybe I'm gonna go like right here, and I'm using my blue Stabilo pencil that I have dipped in water. And if I don't like any of the lines, if I want to change my mind, I can simply just take a paper towel and wet it in water and wipe it off. So it's not a really big commitment if I don't like something. So I'm gonna kind of go like so. And maybe I think I'm gonna go with 2 figures. I think 3 might be a bit too crowded. I don't know. Okay, we'll try it out and see. I don't know if I'm gonna put 2 or 3 figures yet. And that's another thing when things are so busy, I guess, is that it's really difficult for me to kind of figure out like where my figure is going to go, because I can't really see clearly, in the sense of there's just too much going on. But okay, I think I am gonna put 3 figures. So we'll put another face right here. Okay. So okay, now I'm gonna have to figure out if I want the background to be a solid color, or if I want to divide it and then have a top and a bottom. And I think what I'm gonna do, just to calm down some of the painting right away, is to put some solid blocks of color on the dresses or robes. I think that's the very first thing I'm going to do. So I am going to go with a color scheme here, and I think, I'm not sure if I want to go with grays or if I want to go with some warm colors. I thinking I'm gonna go with some grays. I need some neutrals on here, like really desperately need some neutrals. So I don't know if they're gonna be gray or just neutrals. But anyways, I need to calm some of this chaos down here that's on the page. So I am going to start off with some gray, I think. So I'm just using my Waverly chalk paint, and I am mixing a little bit of the cashew and the ink, and that's just gonna give me a gray. So what I'm gonna do is just cover up a lot of this. And I really don't like covering up. Like, there's so many beautiful parts here that I'm just really loving, but I have to cover them up because it's too much. And then the eye is simply like jumping all over the place. Oh, this is really interesting over here, and this is interesting, and this is interesting. And then it's just like really a frantic kind of an energy, and it's not really gonna work. So I love that I was able to somehow make a background that has so much interest and so many interesting parts and pieces to it, but it's too much now and I've got to calm it down. So that can happen as well. So I'm just going to cover it up, and what I'm gonna do for now is I'm just gonna leave some of these parts showing, and then later on, once I cover it up, I can't really get it back, but if I leave it, I can always like cover it up later, if that makes sense. So I'm just gonna leave some parts because I do really love it, and maybe I can kind of leave it, like leave a few of those interesting parts, but maybe not. So just for right now, I'm gonna leave it. And okay. Okay, so that kind of toned it down quite a bit, and I'm glad it did. Okay, so now I'm gonna add more of the ink, so it's making it fairly dark, and I'm gonna go in over here and I'm gonna apply it. And so I'm gonna color up most of this, all these patterns, and just cover it up here and put a solid block of color. See, so already it's toned the painting down quite a bit. And again, I don't really want to cover, I want to retain some of this interest here, so I'm just gonna leave that. And now I'm gonna do the middle dress, and I think what I'm gonna do for the middle one is go with a really light color. I think that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm just gonna apply the cashew pretty much by itself. And I'm gonna do the same thing, which is just cover up most of the dress right here. And this is just the first coat, so I'm not too worried. I can always add more coats as I go along. And I think I'm just gonna cover everything. Okay, there we go. All right, now that toned it down considerably. And what I'm gonna do now is I am going to add some not oil pastels. This is the second time I've made this mistake because I do use oil pastels a lot, but I'm gonna add my oil sticks. And I did a video a little while ago where I show you how I use my oil sticks. And I am now going to apply my oil stick. So it has a skin on it. It'll grow a skin on it when you haven't used it for a little while, just like 3 or 4 days, I think it grows a skin on it. And so I have to kind of peel it off. So what I'm gonna do is just start applying my oil sticks right here. And I wanna leave the neck areas because that's gonna give it some interest. And it's really gonna make it interesting, I think. So for now, I'm just gonna leave the neck with all the designs on there. And let me see, you've just gotta kind of like just gently push the top of it off to get the skin off of it. It's not difficult at all. You just kind of get used to it. It's not a big deal. And I just want to put a good coating of this oil on here. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my finger and I'm really gonna blend it all in. They are blenders that come, that you can use with the oil sticks. And basically it's just in the shape of an oil stick, and it's just called a colorless blender, and you can kind of really blend it. But if you use your fingers, the heat from your fingers is gonna just melt the oil sticks. So now I'm gonna leave some of that beautiful kind of reddish orangey color there just to give it some interest. So I'm gonna leave that. I'm just gonna leave, if you can see that part over there, I'm gonna not put any oil sticks on there. And I'm gonna put a little bit of so the thing with the oil sticks is I have got to let them dry for a couple of days. They do take about 48 hours to dry with my humidity where I am. So once I do this, I cannot work over top of it until it's completely dry. So I'm gonna get rid of all this blue here, but I'm gonna leave some of this orange over here. And again, I'm just gonna add some of that. Add some of this yellow ochre. And a little bit of that orange. And then use my finger and just kind of blend it all, smush it in there. It really does give you a very rich, luminous color that I can't really get with acrylics because it is oil, but it's really not as messy as oil paints, and it gives you similar effects, so it's really worth it. And each one of these sticks, they're about $10 to $12 per stick. Now they do have jumbo bars, and those are probably more expensive, but the ones that I use, the Shiva oil sticks, they are roughly about between $10 and $12 per stick, which is very reasonable because they do last a really long time because a little goes a long way. So to me, they're totally worth it. And I don't use a lot of colors. I have a lot of the just neutrals and flesh tones, like yellow ochre, burnt sienna, And then I have a couple of reds and oranges, maybe a black or a dark blue. So I have like maybe about 12 colors, but I don't know. I guess you can get like maybe, I mean, I don't know how many colors they have available. It's probably a large range. Okay, so see, I'm building up the face and I'm really liking that. Okay, so now I'm gonna do this face over here. And put some of this yellow ochre, and I'm just really smushing it in there. And again, I am going to leave some of the background to show through because I'm really loving that. So I think I'm going to leave a little bit here and a little bit there. And it's just going to give the face a little bit of interest and dimension. And let me see here. I think, see, I've got to take the skin off. There we go. And put some burnt sienna. And I'm just like smushing it in here. Now I need to add some oranges into this flesh tone because it's looking like really lifeless. So I've got to add a little bit of this orange here and just give it a little bit of life. Now I want to put some burnt sienna in there and just building up some dimension to her face. And okay, I want more color here. Okay, so now once this completely dries, I can come back in and add more oil sticks, or I can add some collage, or I can add different things on top of this, but it has to be completely dry. You don't want to work on it when it's still wet. It's just going to turn into a big mess. So once I'm done with this, I'm going to completely just leave it alone until it's dry. Okay, and I think I'm going to add like a little bit of the... Okay, so I have built up the face, the faces, quite a bit, and I'm just gonna leave it alone and let that dry. I keep on fussing with it, but I am gonna leave it alone here in 1 second. Okay, so now I've got to figure out what am I going to do with the background, and I think I want to do a... I think I'm probably going to do a solid background, but let me see here. I don't know, because I don't know if I want to do a solid background or if I want to do a top and a bottom and do a different color, a different solid color on the top and a different solid color on the bottom. I don't know. let me just try it out here. So I think I am going to go with a blue background. I think that's kind of what I'm feeling, is a bluish background, because I'm really loving the way the Stabilo blue looks against, you know, her skin tone, and I'm kind of imagining like the whole background being blue. So I'm wondering if I should do the whole background. I think I'm going to do the whole background blue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix some ultramarine with turquoise, so that way it's not like too dark and it's got some kind of interest to it. It's got like, you know, a little bit of variation. It's not like a flat blue color. So that's what I meant. I've talked about it in another painting, about how painting is a push and pull process. It's just a bunch of decisions that you just constantly are making. So it's like you make this decision and then you go, oh, you know, this changes everything. So now I'm gonna, you know, do this differently. And then it's just one decision after another after another. And then sometimes you backtrack and you go, oh, I don't really like that. I thought I would like it, but I don't. So I'm gonna, you know, redo it, or I'm gonna change it. But it's just a whole bunch of decisions that you're constantly making. Okay, so I'm really liking that blue. And I don't know if I should make the entire background blue. Well, let me start here because I know I want to make all of this blue. So while I'm kind of figuring that out, let me work over here and so So because I have all these solid blocks of color, it really makes all this busyness of the necks, it's really making that stand out, which is good. I want it to stand out, because the way it was, if I kept too much of the page as it was, it would have been too distracting, and there would have been too much going on. I wouldn't know where to look. And so I am going to, now I do like some of this part here, so I don't know how much of it I can keep, if any. And I really hate covering up parts of the painting that I love, but sometimes I just have to do it. I'll leave a little bit over there and just kind of put like another coat. And I think what I'm gonna do is turn this around and see if that gives me a little bit of a different perspective here. So, okay, I'm gonna go around the shape here. So I am gonna put like some hair or something on top of here. So I'm thinking that I might leave that shape over there and kind of, so I might want to kind of, okay. So what I'm gonna do is just like layer on this blue, just give it another like coating over here so it just is a solid kind of a color. Okay, and just going to so now, as you can see, that's really toned the painting down quite a lot. And now you can actually see what's going on and you can appreciate like the parts that are very interesting. I can appreciate it now because before there was just like too much going on and I couldn't, like, it was too busy. So I'm really happy with the way this is turning out. I've got a ways to go, but I'm really loving how I've managed to tone this down quite a bit. Okay. So what I'm gonna do now, because I do have to let things dry, like the oil sticks I have to let dry and this paint is wet, so I do have to let things dry. I think what I can do right now is just kind of make some marks over here and give the dresses a little bit of definition. So I'm just using a regular pen. It's not an art pen or anything. I kind of want to have this like really raw, sketchy kind of quality to it. So I'm just using, this is a Velocity pen and I have like 100 of these everywhere because I use them for everything, for my art and for journaling and just writing lists and just everything. So I am just going to kind of just give that some definition there. So I'm gonna let this dry, and so what I'm gonna probably do for this is a two-part tutorial because I do have to let these oil sticks dry for a couple of days. And I want to bring back some of that, so I'm just gonna scrape it off. Okay, so if you can see how when I started off, everything was like really, really busy and there was just too much going on. So I had to kind of like calm it down. And now that I've calmed it down, the areas that are interesting, like even this area or this area or this area or the neck, it just looks that much more interesting. Because when everything was so busy, if I had retained most of that, it would just be too busy. But now, because there's so much calm in the piece, you know, your eyes will go here and then it will go to a calm place. And then, you know, it'll move around. It'll go there. Oh, that's really interesting. And then, okay, calm. And then, oh, you know, that's really interesting. And then calm. So it moves your eye around the page. And I hope that in this video I have demonstrated how important it is to have like a balance of things that are interesting and then things that are also like flat and static, because there has to be this balance. And it's the same thing with colors. If there's too many bright colors everywhere, then your eyes are not going to have a place to rest. And if there's too many neutrals, if everything is neutral and there's no color or other form of interest, then it's going to be too boring and static. So it's that balance between interesting and then calm. So it's kind of like it's always a balance and trying to figure out what's going to work. So thank you so much for watching till the end. If you have enjoyed this video, I really would appreciate a comment to tell me if you have any feedback, or if you enjoyed something, or if you want me to do something different. That would be great. Okay, thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Bye.